Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham dhammang sanghang namasami. Good evening, dear friends, and welcome to this Tuesday evening program with Dhamma Dharini. Over this past week, we were speaking about the comfort of reflecting on those positive dhammas that one has developed, those powerful qualities of the mind, the good practices, the wisdom, and so forth that one has developed in order to have faith, so that when death approaches, if one knows that we have entered upon the path that will culminate in the deathless, that then we don't need to feel anxious or fearful. There's a metaphor that came in one of the suttas that has caught my imagination, that of taking a pot of oil or ghee, and if it's dropped into the river and the pot breaks open on the rocky bottom of the river, then the shards of the pot sink down to the bottom, and the oil rises. Even so, if we know for sure that we've entered onto the path that culminates in the deathless, that we could know that any minor break in our mindfulness or any small fault or unskillful thing that could happen is not going to prevent us from reaching the goal once we're established on that path. And there's a kind of a contemplation here where the shards of the pot are compared to the material body, the four elements in the physical body, which when death comes and the body is a lifeless object laying on the ground, it has been separated. So the material body just sinks back into the elements. In the poem that we were looking at, it said that the mind rises up using the word chitta, which can refer to the mentality in general, or can refer to the thoughts or the states of mind. And in particular, it seems wonderful to me to think about those states of mind which are perhaps in the jhana state, are in a formless meditation, where the mind has disengaged from being involved in the sensations that are arising from contact with the five senses, with the body. Where the mind perhaps has entered into a boundless kind of a state, where the mind has become perhaps in something like, it could be the Brahmavihara type of state, the divine abidings, where one is radiating the thought of loving kindness to the entire universe without limit, without any boundaries whatsoever. And then the mind becomes a very superior and unsurpassable, heavenly. So in this way, just even with that good meditation practice, without even worrying about exactly how we explain the mechanism of what's happening at that moment of death, even the state of mind that one can have right now, still alive, but losing interest in the material body and becoming interested in the boundless, becoming interested in those states that are unshakable, imperturbable, those states which partake of a sense of freedom, the freedom that comes about because of letting go. We can say, letting go of the states of existence, letting go from the desire to be in this world. Or we could say even more simply, just letting go of the attachments that one might have towards this body, towards this physical body built out of rice and food, which exists for a certain amount of time. A little bit later on, I'm going to read you a very, I'll say, sharp and funny poem about the repulsive aspect of the body, and that's it's sort of like the opposite side. When one can see the goal towards which we aspire, and then the mind rises up towards that, and feeling confident in that, then this pathetic body, which gives such meager and insubstantial, weak kind of pleasures that are available from this body, and so many dangers with this body, so many ways that this body can go in the wrong direction and become not operating as we wish it would. So then, yes, we lose interest. We can lose interest in this body. And being able to lose interest, then it becomes possible to be both to be established in meditation without being disturbed by things that are arising from the body, including emotional reactions, and also possible to become well established in that imperturbable, unshakable vision of the freedom of the goal towards which this path is leading us. So having said that much, let us sit down for meditation for a little bit. I invite all of you to come to an upright and balanced posture for meditation. Letting go of the past and the future. Letting the posture be calm, relaxed, and settled. Aware of the physical body. In terms of the earth element. Feeling the weight of the body on the chair. Aware of everything that's hard, earthy in the body. Letting the heaviness of the body sink into the chair or the cushion. As a log in the forest gradually, gently sinks down into the earth. aware of the earth element outside, the earthiness of the earth, the hardness of the rock. And letting the earthiness of this body return to nature, just earth element. And aware of the water element in the body, the saliva, the sweat, the blood, the urine, whatever is wet and juicy in the body. And the water element outside, in the rain, in the cloud, in the little streams flowing down towards the ocean. Knowing the water element inside and water element outside is just water element. Not me and not mine. And letting the water element in the body be let go to return to nature. Aware of the air element in the body. In the rise and fall of breath, which goes on and on. And the subtle vibrations, the energy of the body. All of that energy, that restless energy, is air element. and aware of the air outside, the wind, subtle or strong, always flowing through the world. And letting the air element inside join and merge with the air outside. Letting go, letting it go back to nature. And aware of the heat in the body, which digests the food. And burns up the material body. The fire of life burning on the fuel until the fuel is all gone and used up. And it becomes cool right there. and aware of the heat outside. Warming the earth. And slowly consuming everything. Letting the fire inside be the same as the fire outside. Letting the fire inside return to nature. Aware of the space element inside. The empty spaces in the body. From the large spaces, like inside the mouth or inside the nostril, down to the microscopic spaces in between the cells, in between the atoms, all the space in the body. And aware of the space outside in the whole world, all the empty spaces. And letting the space element inside be the same as the space outside. Letting go of the space element, letting it go back to nature. Letting go of all the elements. There is only consciousness or awareness left, purified and bright, letting that consciousness be unbounded and infinite. gently emerging from that meditation. And when you're ready, opening the eyes. I'm going to bring you into a bit of a transition here. I hope you can follow my thinking. If you suppose having a boundless meditation, dwelling in pure awareness, losing interest in the body, and experiencing that boundless, tranquil freedom. And now we emerge from meditation, and we have to fall back to earth and be with this body. Here comes, there's an idea of relinquishment, which comes after letting go, fading away, and cessation, comes a relinquishment, which I understand to mean that one is not picking up again any attachment to any state of existence. Or you could say, in doing having a meditation experience and having that great purification of the mind through meditation, then we may come back to earth and be touched by different things that can come along, and then the reactions start up, and one could lose the mindfulness. But you want to relinquish that. You want to relinquish just going back to the same pattern that you had before. I'm going to read you a poem called the Victory Sutta. This is in the Sutta Nipata. It's chapter 1, verse 11. I especially recommend this sutta for meditators because it combines the asubha practice of meditating on the parts of the body and the corpse meditation, all in one concise verse. And because it's poetry and not prose, it's actually much easier and more enjoyable to recite it in Pali. For those of you who are interested in learning sutras and reciting them in Pali, even there's a kind of a way that, to me, this poem is almost Shakespearean in its intensity of conveying the I guess I could say a negativity or the horror of the physical body and the process of decomposing body in the charnel ground. But in the Pali, the verse has got this sort of like this rollicking meter, and so it's partly like a satire, and the satire, in a way, sometimes some things are too horrible to look at. You just want to turn away because it's too awful. But then the same story could be told in terms of something that's fictional, and then you don't have to turn away because and the heart is able to open. my dear friend spent many years taking care of her mother. It was like 15 years of caregiving. And then when her mom finally died, she was like not accessing her grief at the beginning, but then she had tickets to there's a play called Cats, and there's a song in it where the old cat dies, and that was like, it's like when the old cat dies, like all of everything that was tied up got to be opened, and so I'm just going to give you one example of how the poetry goes in the Pali language. This is referring to the corpse. In English, it's devoured by dogs, by jackals, wolves, and worms. It's devoured by crows and vultures, and any other creatures there. A crow in the Pali language is called a ka. Kadantinang suvanacha singalacha vaka kimi ka gijja chakadanti ye changye santi pani no. See, so it's like there's this cheerful verse combined with this intense content. But I'm going to read you Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation. When one is walking or standing, sitting or lying down, when one bends and stretches, this is the motion of the body. Bound together by bones and sinews, plastered with skin and flesh, covered by the epidermis, the body is not seen as it really is. As filled with intestines, filled with the stomach, with the liver and the bladder, the heart, lungs, kidneys, and spleen, with snot and saliva, with sweat and fat, with blood and oil of the joints, with bile and grease. Further, from its 9 openings, impurity flows constantly, muck from the eyes and wax from the ears, snot from the nostrils, and from the mouth one sometimes vomits bile and vomits phlegm. Sweat and dirt flow from the body. Then its hollow head is filled with the brain. Led on by ignorance, the fool conceives it as beautiful. And when it is lying dead, bloated, and discolored, cast off in a charnel ground, the relatives are unconcerned with it. Dogs then devour it, as do jackals, wolves, and worms. Crows and vultures devour it, and whatever other beings there are. Having heard the word of the Buddha, a bhikkhu possessing wisdom here fully understands it because he sees it as it really is. As this, so that. As that, so this. Internally and externally, one should expunge the desire for the body. That bhikkhu possessing wisdom here, who has expunged desire and lust, has attained the deathless, peace, the imperishable state of nibbana. This 2-footed body, impure and foul-smelling, is cherished, though filled with various kinds of filth and oozing here and there. One who, because of such a body, would think to exalt himself, or who would disparage others, what is this due to but a lack of vision? again, this is, it's called Vijaya Sutta, or Victory. And it's victory over desire for the body. And it's in the Sutta Nipata, number 1.11. So I just put that citation into the chat so that if you want to look it up yourself and memorize it and recite it, you can. I would like to welcome any comments or questions, and in particular, if anybody can reflect about that we might need to have both. We need both the push and the pull. We need to be able to see the goals, to see liberation, to see tranquility, and to be, beyond any kind of reactivity to what's arising from this material world because of detachment. And also, we need to know that the dukkha that's inherent in this material world, so that we can overcome the whatever remaining natural conditioning we have, which is pulling us to come back to becoming emotionally involved in protecting our life, or any kind of vanity or attachment, or greed for pleasure, or anxiety, which is associated and arising from being a living individual who's in this realm of existence, in the realm of existence of beings who are made out of flesh, where the minds are attached to that meat body, whose minds are in some ways programmed to be spending a lot of energy just protecting the meat body, taking care of the meat body. So both of these kinds of contemplations can be useful at different times. But I'm interested in your thoughts about which end of the spectrum is more useful for you right now. Those in the room also welcome to share your thoughts. Okay, I'll call on Grace.
Thank you, Aya, for this reflection. It's really lovely. And yeah, I've been really enjoying being here at Damadrini for a variety of reasons, really appreciating the teachings here. And especially with these body contemplations, I haven't dove too much previously into asubha practice, but I did here really for the first time, and really, yeah, I had touched on it before and noticed more aversion. And I had told you previously, I have a pretty aversive mind naturally. And it's interesting to see that sort of the waves of like when I am experiencing more desire and longing, then that practice has really helped to come back and ground and recollect the body, meet body. I like that terminology. That's really nice. And yeah, just a really important recollection I've noticed. And then like the spectrum, I appreciate that, the spectrum of that, and then watching sort of over days after doing some intensive asubha practice, then it's like, oh, noticing a lot of aversion. So, okay, maybe I need to bring in more metta again, or kind of, yeah, that back and forth of that. And yeah, really appreciating the Victory Sutta. I'm gonna read up on that more. So thank you.
These days, in the West, the Vipassana teachers sometimes say that the asubha practice is not supposed to be to teach you to hate the body or have aversion towards the body. And they give caution that a person who has that tendency, that the asubha practice might not be the skillful practice to cultivate. A person who has a lot of love and desire for the body is the one who needs the asubha as a kind of a correction to overcome that attachment or that sensual desire. But when we read how vivid and repulsive that description is, I think that they're really trying to dispel something. It's like it's more deeper than just somebody who like has got whatever kind of neurotic problem we have in connection to our body. Whether the body's never perfect, it's never really right for us. Even somebody who's a beauty queen probably could still have a neurotic a relationship, complicated a relationship to the body, right? But then it's something that's even more profound than that. That in order to obtain the goal, if you want to be a living human being with a flesh body, if you just feel that deep down life is a miracle and it's so great and it's kind of like perfect how the body is able to be born. It's so fantastic, and it's so like all the different organs of the body work together to sustain things, and seeing like the wonder of life or the miracle of life or something like that. If you've got any kind of enchantment left towards this world, that could be an impediment towards being able to obtain the goal, or to be able to really take on board what the Blessed One is talking about. Right? Yeah. I'll call on Damon.
Hi. Now, how would all this reconcile with, since you mentioned Shakespeare, with art, perhaps even Buddhist art, perhaps even ancient Buddhist art? When I look at Buddha Rupa's representations of Buddha, I feel perhaps I'm not the only one that feels touched by, oh, look how beautiful his face looks. It's so serene, and his arms are so poised, and he's sitting with such erect posture. And I'm just, I just find that can we live with both? Is there a middle way?
Well, the there is a caution about the use of art to be deceptive. And it's also absolutely true that in the suttas, stories and poetry are used to point towards the truth in a way which is effective and reaches the heart more effectively, perhaps, than discursive philosophical statements. And so, in that way, I think we could say that, we studied before about the nutriments of life, that art is just one of those things. We've got it, we're humans, and while we're humans, this is how we operate. And so we can't avoid art, so we should try to use art wisely, aiming for the use of art to understand the truth, and not the use of art for other purposes. Even like art can be used for propaganda to arouse people's hatred, or to arouse people's patriotism, or to arouse people's romantic feelings, or all kinds of other things. But art can also be used to understand the deep truth, to understand what dukkha is, and to like that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Richard.
Thank you. These kinds of descriptions, the initial part is kind of like the first part on the body in mindfulness, right?
Yes.
But then it departs a little bit when it gets into the the impurities and stuff flowing from the eyes and stuff like that. But generally, the first several sections are almost the same. But it reminds me of the sutta about the bhikkhus who the Buddha had given them some teaching, I guess similar to this, or maybe they added these extra things like in here, so it went a little bit further in their minds. And then he just happened to go off to meditate, which he did occasionally. You see this in the suttas and stuff. Sometimes he would go off for some period of time just to meditate by himself. And while he was gone, a lot of these bhikkhus got totally obsessed with the foulness of the body and started to commit suicide on a fairly regular basis. So when the Buddha came back and he noticed there was a lot fewer bhikkhus there than had been there when he left a couple of weeks earlier, or whatever it was, and he asked Ananda, "Oh, Ananda, why are the bhikkhus looking so thin? Why have they thinned out like this?" And Ananda explained to him, "Oh, well, a lot of them, committed suicide, because of this obsession with this teaching." And I always found the Buddha's response extremely interesting. That's the part I'm getting to now, is that he told Ananda to call the bhikkhus together in his name, right? And he gave him a talk. And when he gives them a talk, he doesn't talk about this or their actions of committing suicide or anything like that at all. He talks about perfecting the jhanas, so that one can go into the bliss of the jhanas and develop focus and concentration of mind. And when one does that, these things won't bother you anymore. Your bodily state won't bother you anymore. It's not that it has no relevance, but it's not going to become some obsessive thing. I mean, if it becomes so obsessive, that's just like obsessing over sensual, desires or hate or anger or something. If it becomes obsessive, then you're kind of lost. So he trains them how to experience the bliss of the jhana and focus their mind so that a bhikkhu who's developing themselves, or a monastic, I should say. I'm just using bhikkhu because that the sutta happened to be about bhikkhus. The bhikkhunis don't seem to be as radical as the bhikkhus. I mean, we don't see any story like this. But I'm just joking. It could have happened, but who knows? But it just that now, you can kind of just sit in peace with the world and let time go by and develop yourself and keep growing in the Dharma. You know what I mean? Without developing these obsessive, negative, I would say, negative ideas. Not that these things aren't known. It's not that the bhikkhus forgot these teachings, or I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it's not going to tend to cause you to become obsessed with anything. Also, I want to make a point. When you were talking about the pot of ghee in the beginning, it's important to note that when you said the pot is like the body, well, the body, right? The pot doesn't know what's inside the pot, okay? And the ghee isn't really connected with the pot in any way other than by happenstance. You know what I mean? The ghee is ghee and the pot is pot. So it reminds me of the story of Buddha gives the simile of the borrowed jewelry. The person goes and borrows jewelry, he's going all over well, that's like the body of the four elements, right? And eventually the owner says, hey, I let you borrow that, but hey, I want to take it back now, So that's like the pot, it breaks apart and that's the end of that. There's no real connection there. But then the chitta, the state of mind, if you've developed a state of mind like the ghee, right, then it floats up. There's nothing to worry about what Buddha's saying. If you develop the proper state of mind, it floats. It's gonna go upwards, and as long as it keeps going upwards, and you have the Buddha's teaching and everything, you're going to further that, along. Okay, so but it's kind of important to understand that the ghee and the pot really aren't connected. They appear to be connected, but they're really not connected, in any way. They don't know about each other really or anything like that. It's just, or I should say, they don't overlap each other in any way. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I guess I'd comment to that in terms of the triple conjunction of the sense faculties, which has got a material basis, and the arising of contact and Vedana, there is a link between the rupa and the mentality. But beyond that, your point about the Buddha's wise and compassionate response to those monks who became so unbalanced in the attitude to the body after hearing this asubha meditation practice is very much on the mark. These days, it could be that, or what I've heard in modern times, is that sometimes the student who may go on a long retreat where, like for a longer period of time, like a year or more than a year, they're in a sort of a protected environment for meditation without a lot of responsibilities. Perhaps if it's a Westerner student, they're living in an Asian country where they're sort of like, because of the language change, there's sort of like a lot of whatever the baggage or psychology, or they are far away from their problems in a very simplified and protected retreat environment, and then accomplish some things in in jhana are in meditation, or they may think that they've accomplished something, but then if they leave the retreat center and go back and go to the city and get a job and try to, contend with householder life, a person can have a lot of difficulty in integrating what they've learned on a long meditation retreat with what they need to be able to withstand the householder life. It's for that reason that at some monasteries, like, for example, here at Dhammadharini, we've got a significant amount of time doing different kinds of activities and having meetings and having a community, like dealing with each other as a community thing, not just being in silence the whole time. And the moderate amount of stress that's involved with coping with your colleagues in the community is like helps the meditation practice to be stronger and more resilient and more flexible. So you could compare the person who developed jhana in a very isolated, protected environment as being like a hothouse tomato, which is like, in a hothouse. And then the other approach is like a tomato that grows outside in the garden and is subjected to more wind and rain and weather. And so if you take the hothouse tomato and take it out of the greenhouse and just put it out in the yard, it could die because it's not sturdy enough to withstand the weather. So some kind of a nice balanced combination, just using common sense, facing up to how gross it is to have a body, and also getting a taste of how sublime it is to have meditation, and knowing, both of those things are part of our life. Did you have a comment, Alex? I'm going to call on Alex here in the room.
Thank you, Aya. I just wanted to say that I really appreciated your equanimity with both sides of the coin, like you just restated just now, knowing how painful and terrifying it can be in this body, and at the same time, it's such a auspicious birth for seeing the Dhamma and practicing meditation and all of those things. It's really right at the end of your talk. It might have been the combination of the fun, prose of the song, or in contrast with the terror of being in a body, combined with I'm always a little sensitive after late night sits, like hypersensitized, and so I actually teared up at the very end when you were saying that we need both. We need both this terrifying form and painful form, and also the gratitude to even be here, learning and seeing the Dhamma. It's just really touched me very deeply and resonated very deeply with me. So thank you for that.
Other comment or question? So maybe this may be enough for now. Richard, did you have one more comment? Or is your hand still up from before?
No, that it was new. I tried to remember to lower it after each time.
Okay,
But I don't always remember, so.
very good.
So, I was just wondering, the person you were just speaking with, when they were talking about a need to, I don't know exactly how they put it, but like a need to be terrified or something like that. I think what I was trying to say is that it becomes just the way it is, and a person becomes at peace with it, but it also motivates you to not want to keep going through it. You understand? And this may be a subtle point. I, I think the problem that I think the people were, the bhikkhus were committing suicide because they were terrified of it, and they didn't know how to make peace with it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know that not necessarily terrified, but just completely upset with their obsession. You know, with how horrible it is, you might say, or something like that. But I think the point is to come to the point where, okay, this is the way it is. This is the Dharma. This is the way it is. That's why we want to get out of here. It's like Buddha says in one sutta. He said, if there were no old age, disease, and death, then a Tathagata would never appear in the world, right? So you might still have birth. Okay, you take birth, but there's no problem after that. Everything's hunky dory. You know, it's like heaven forever. Right? So what do you need it to tell? You can't get injured. You can't get hurt, or you can't get old. There's no death, whatever. So just go. So it's because of the juxtaposition of these two: birth, old age, disease, and death. Birth, old age, disease, and death, like that. But anyways, I'm just not sure if I understood what was being said correctly. Anyway, thank you.
I'll let you have the last word, Richard, and I thank everybody for your good practice, for your sincerity, and for your patient listening tonight. We can close with the giving homage to the Triple Gem. Araham Samma Sambuddha Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi Svakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sangham Namami